What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another edition of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. Today's video, we're going to cover fractional bullion. Is it worth adding to your portfolio? We're going to find out. But how do we define fractional? Well, in a nutshell, fractional is any coin, round, or bullion that contains less than the standard minimum of 1 troy ounce. Your most common denominations for coins are ounce, half ounce, quarter ounce, and even tenth of an ounce. But basically, anything less than a 1 troy ounce is considered fractional. So again, is it worth adding to your portfolio? Let's find out. So let's go over some fractional bullion. Good place to start is going to be the United States Gold Eagle series, and we know we've got our common 1 ounce, we've got our half ounce, we've got our quarter ounce, and the littlest one of the bunch is going to be that 110. It's probably about the size of a dime if you haven't seen it. So those are your most common Gold Eagle sizes. So another popular bullion across the world could also be the Canadian Gold Maple series, which, as we all know, comes in its standard 1 ounce. We've got our half ounce and quarter ounce. We've got our 1/10 of an ounce. And we're really getting small here, but we've got our 1/20th of an ounce. And just when you think you couldn't get any tinier, here comes the 1 gram maple leaf. I didn't even know this was a thing until recently. I was able to see a package of them in person and was just blown away by how tiny these things are. They really are small, and we'll actually touch on this in just a second. So what are the pros for owning fractional bullion? Well, first and foremost, it's affordable. So it's a lot less upfront cost. It makes it easier to accumulate more expensive bullion like gold, platinum, palladium. It gives you a chance to buy metals to add to your collection that you might not have a chance to add if we were only dealing with 1 ounce sizes. So that was definitely one of the pros. It's easier to make transactions. Small fractional bullion is more flexible and liquid. You can't divide larger bullion, and maybe 1/10 of an ounce might make more sense than a full ounce in some scenarios. So that's definitely a pro. Good for potential trading and bartering if the you-know-what hits the fan. Overpaying for fractional can actually be better than having none at all. I mean, we're talking about a long game when it's all said and done, right? So adding bullion, and especially gold, any way that you can, isn't a terrible idea despite the premiums. It's good for gift giving. Quarter ounce is a solid range, while 1/10 or 1/20th is the most affordable. There's a good chance the value may increase, which may cover your premium over time. And older bullion, especially gold, tends to increase in value. Buying bullion in smaller sizes means you can purchase more of your favorite metals at a lower price for each. And last but not least, fractional bullion can help you build a more rounded precious metals portfolio. It always looks good when the pie chart includes silver, gold, platinum, and maybe even some palladium. So the cons for fractional bullion. There's a couple. Premiums. I mean, it doesn't come down to anything more than premiums. It costs more for a mint to produce 10 1/10 coins than it does for one 1 ounce coin. So naturally, they're going to pass on the expense to you, the buyer. It's just expensive to make these little coins, period. Where silver is concerned, you might only get spot or slightly above spot when you attempt to sell it. Whereas gold will likely increase in value since it's a lot rarer. Again, I'm not a fan of fractional silver at all. Gold I can deal with, platinum I can deal with, palladium I can deal with, but silver, I'm just not a fan. Taxes. In a lot of states, any bullion less than 1 ounce can be taxable, unless you spend a minimum of $1,000. I'm not sure which states are still carrying that, but I'm sure there are a few still around. So you have to be aware of the taxes. So by now, I'm sure most of you have seen the combi bars that are running out there, the silver ones, from Valcambi. According to them, Valcambi bars were intended to be an alternative to both traditional silver bars and coins. So for those collectors wanting larger, more cost-effective bullion, they could leave the combi bar intact, while those looking for smaller, more transportable silver for barter or trade could simply break off separate 1 gram pieces. These little sets are typically hard to find, and believe it or not, they do sell out quickly and at a high premium, so they're going to cost you. Again, while I'm not a fan of fractional silver combi bars and whatnot, I can understand the purpose behind these. I can see where they would have some kind of validity in a difficult situation down the road. So while I've said I'm not an absolute fan of tiny fractional silver, how do I feel about tiny fractional gold? Is it worth it? Well, when it comes to comparing fractional gold to silver, the answer is yes. Based on the fact that gold tends to retain more value and enjoy more increases over time, so you have to figure resale will probably be excellent with gold regardless of the size. So this is of course not taking into consideration that silver could absolutely explode over the next decade, as so many are hoping for. I'm not even going to get into that. I mean, silver has its time. How far it goes, who knows? I don't think any of us can predict it. Is it as rare as we think it is or we hope it is? I can't answer that, and so many of us also can't answer that. So another pretty cool idea to come along for fractional gold was the bullion cards. You can buy these just about everywhere now, and I know a lot of collectors who just carry them in their wallet, just like they would a credit card, and if they ever need to break it out or sell it, that's just the way it is. They've got a little emergency fund tucked into a little credit card. These are definitely becoming more popular. They're popular for gifts, good for emergencies. And now here's the thing, finding someone who will actually accept that card could be the challenge. I mean, let's face it, if someone's trying to pay you for services rendered with one of these, you're probably going to give them the "are you crazy" look. We all know there's a lot of fake bullion out there, so the only drawback I see to these is that the faith in them from vendors could be problematic. Unless they've got some way of testing it on site, most likely you're not going to be able to use these in the near future. They're good as novelty gifts right now. Now down the road, that could change. I mean, situations change, life changes. You just have to be able to certify that these are real in order to get what you want for them. And that in itself could be the challenge. We're going to go over one more fractional gold bullion. These are called Goldbacks. Now, I honestly have bought a few of these because, not because I intend to use them, but because I thought they were really cool. These are beautiful. These are beautiful pieces of gold. Right now, they've been made for Utah, Nevada, and New Hampshire. And according to the website, the idea behind these was to make them a tradable gold currency that could be used in small barter situations if needed, or take the place of fiat in the event of an emergency. Basically, there is gold between two polymer plastic sheets, and they are specific amounts of 24 karat. The denominations right now are 50, 25, 10, 5, and 1. And respectively, they come in 1/20th, 1/40th, 1/100th, 1/200th, and 1/1000th troy ounces of gold, respectively. These were first released in 2019, and the website claims that more states are planned. I think it's a good idea. Right now, I think it's more of a novelty than anything. But again, we don't know how the situation could change down the road. 10 years from now, these could be a very valuable commodity for, making purchases. You never know. And with the small amounts of gold in there, they're pretty specific in what you can buy. I mean, you're not going to want to use a full ounce of gold to get a gallon of gas or a loaf of bread and all that. I could see where these could come in handy in that typical situation. We're not there yet, but you never know. These are very cool. They're pricey, but they're very cool. I could definitely see down the road where there'd be a use for these. When we're talking about fractional gold, it's going to come all down to you. In the end, you're going to customize your collection in the way that fits your needs. You're really prepping for both present and preparing for the future. Fractional bullion can make sense in a lot of situations and not so much for others. It really depends on what life throws at you. You could use an example that you might only need to crack off so much gold to pay a bill that just came up, and you don't need to sell an entire ounce of gold, so you go to your fractional. Those are scenarios where it makes sense. So silver, I don't know. Again, I'm not cracking on silver in the sense that I don't like it. I love silver. I'm just not a fan of tiny silver. But when you want to talk about how small some of these are, if you look at this picture here, that is the size of a gram in comparison to a penny. They're tiny. They are tiny. But again, there could be value for these down the road. You never know. Hopefully we don't have to use them, but you never know. All right, that's going to wrap up this video on fractional bullion. To kind of summarize, in my opinion, gold is the far better play than silver when it comes to fractional. To me, fractional silver is just not a very good investment unless you're buying it for a gift, or something along those lines. And if I had to buy fractional silver, the absolute, drop dead lowest I would go is a ½ ounce. You have to figure a quarter ounce of silver right now is selling for about, on average, 14 bucks. And if you multiply that times 4 to get your troy ounce, well, you just paid 56 bucks for 1 ounce of silver. Now, if you're strictly going from a stacking point of view, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you're looking to diversify into some fractional just in case the you-know-what hits the fan down the road, well, that's different. It really all comes back to what you're collecting and how you're collecting. In the end, only you can decide what's best for your collection, and it all comes back to the reasons you're stacking. I think fractionals make sense for budget-conscious collectors. They might be looking to add affordable diversification to their precious metals portfolio, so, it might make sense to them. But that's going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate you stopping by. Always good to have you drop in. And any comments, drop them down below. I'll try to respond when I can. And we'll see you next time. Stay safe. See ya.